Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Heat overcomes brutal trend in win versus Hawks. As the Miami Heat believed they were close to turning their season around, Wednesday night was a step in the right direction as the team beat the Atlanta Hawks, 131-109. With the Heat looking to capitalize off their home-heavy part of the schedule, it resulted in one of the best offensive games of the season. All of the starting lineup scored in double digits as Tyler Herro, 10 assists, and Duncan Robinson both led the way with 24 points along with Bam Adebayo and Davion Mitchell who had 20. Plus, Andrew Wiggins had 15 and the rookie Kel'el Ware had 12 points to go with 8 rebounds. Here are 3 takeaways from Miami's victory over the Hawks. While the Heat lost to the Hawks on a frustrating night last Monday, the team came off much better to start Wednesday's game as they finished the first period making 11 of their 18 attempts from the field while hitting on 4 of 8 shots from deep. Wiggins would start with Miami's first 6 points, while Herro got going by making his first 2 3-pointers after missing all 9 of them last game. However, the group would have 6 turnovers as Atlanta shot 11 of 20 from the field and 4 of 7 from deep, even with Trae Young only shooting 2 points in the period. When it came to the second quarter, Miami scored 36 points, which would usually indicate that they would take a commanding lead, and while they built up an 11-point advantage, it was once again dwindled as the Hawks scored 37. The Heat have blown several double-digit leads recently, which has plagued them the last few weeks, but Wednesdays came early, continuing the dogfight from the first period. Still, there has been a constant question regarding the team's rotations, which saw a change against the Hawks as Haywood Highsmith made his return to the floor as it was the first time since February 12 in the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Herro would lead the way with 17 points as the Heat's 3-point champion started 3 of 3 from deep after missing all 9 attempts last game. Robinson and Wiggins also contributed in the first half with 14 and 11 points, respectively. While it would be more of the same to start the third quarter, Miami ended the frame on a strong note as the Hawks looked to run out of gas from the consistent offense up until that point. With the Heat's last loss to the Hawks displayed a dreadful offensive performance leading to 86 total points, the second lowest this season, the team passed that well into the third quarter and continued the production going into the fourth. The only concerning part was Miami going into the fourth quarter with a double-digit lead, which they have been very prone to lose as they are the second most team in the NBA to give up that much of an advantage. However, the home team wouldn't let the foot off the gas as they built up their lead to 18 points as the newcomer in Mitchell made 5 3-pointers up until that point, tying a career high. Miami did what every fan wanted to see them do, which was close out a game while entering the fourth quarter with a double-digit lead. As the Heat have suffered late-game collapses after having double-digit leads heading into the final frame, that wasn't the case this time Wednesday night. Miami was up 107-93, and while other fan bases would feel good with the score, it's a different situation with this team. However, the team would keep the Hawks down to earth as they scored 16 points compared to the Heat's 24 as they started the homestand with a victory. Head coach Erik Spoelstra spoke before the game about how it was being looked at by the team, which was very intentional. In the list of issues that we have, at least we're dealing with, how do we keep a lead? And obviously, this is something that we're trying to figure out, and none of it is an excuse, Spoelstra said. We've had moving pieces, and so sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it doesn't happen exactly how you want it to go. But I really commend the group, very intentional about it. We're all owning it. We all have to be better for each other, and we're working at it. While it was a much-needed win, the team needs to build off that and keep stacking wins as they are now 27-30, which puts them 8th in the Eastern Conference. Hawks can't cool down the Heat in second half, lose 131-109. The Atlanta Hawks were in Miami on Wednesday evening to face the Heat. Both teams just saw each other on Monday when the Hawks won at home, 98-86, and both were coming off of playing the night before. With both teams right next to each other in the standings, a game like this could help the Hawks set themselves apart from the Heat, or they can continue to battle with them for the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. Dyson Daniels was the player of the game on Monday, and he kept that strong play going with 5 early points in the quarter. After a rough game on Monday, Zachary Rizicher came out and made some shots from the perimeter and in the paint. You could say almost everything was going right for the Hawks on offense, as Daniels got this crafty layup to go from a nice pass from Onyeka Okongwu. Both teams played well in the quarter, and the Hawks went into the second just trailing 29-28. Young called his own number to start the quarter and got the foul to go along with the layup. Caris LeVert made a shifty move in the paint to get Clint Capella this easy dunk. The Hawks strung together a few solid offensive possessions and took the lead, but the Heat came back and got a few threes from Duncan Robinson to give them the lead. The threes continued to fall for the Heat, and the Hawks trailed by 11 points at one point. The Heat's run didn't faze the Hawks, and they went on a run themselves to get back in the game. Terrence Mann threw this huge dunk down to cut down the Hawks' deficit. The Hawks eventually took the lead back for a few, but going into halftime, the game was tied at 65. Mohamed Gay set off the third quarter after throwing down this one-hand alley from Young. Later on in the quarter, Young called his own number once again and knocked down this three-pointer at the top of the key. Rizicher found Daniels for this behind-the-back pass and he got an easy dunk in the lane. The Heat started to catch a groove late in the third quarter, once again knocking down an array of three-pointers. The Hawks didn't have an answer for that run, and they ended up trailing by 14 going into the fourth. The Heat couldn't miss to start the quarter, but the Hawks finally found some juice on offense. The Heat kept it rolling against the Hawks, and they didn't have an answer for the threes they kept raining on them. Daniels tried to stop the bleeding with this dunk. Ultimately, it wasn't enough for the Hawks to come back, and the Heat walked away with the win. Daniels finished the game with 18 points, Young and LeVert finished with 17 points, and Mann and Okongwu finished with 13 points. The Hawks will be back in action on Friday evening against the Thunder. Heat's Jovic to be re-evaluated in 4 weeks after fracturing hand. Heat forward Nikola Jovic suffered a fracture in the second metacarpal of his right hand, the Heat's PR department tweets. He will be in a splint and will be re-evaluated in 4 weeks. This confirms the initial diagnosis that the team reported but provides a better understanding of his recovery timetable. It also indicates that surgery, at least at this time, will not be required. With less than 2 months remaining before the postseason, Jovic's injury, which occurred during the first half against the Bucks on Sunday, could end up being a season-ender. Through 46 games, the 21-year-old is averaging 10.7 points, 3.9 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and 0.8 steals per game. He is logging shooting splits of .456/.371/.828. Ahead of the season, Miami picked up Jovic's $4.45 million team option for the 4th and final year of his rookie-scale deal, which will keep him under team control through 2025-26. He'll be eligible for a rookie-scale extension during the 2025 offseason. And you, fan? What do you think of Nikola Jovic's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.